I think they added this in 12.1, so and it has actually really good effect, like editing effects that are pretty nice.
Do you have to download a pack or something to get that, or how it?
No, I think it's if you have the 12.1, it should be included. Let's see. I can barely see anything here. Just take one there. I like this. This stretch is really nice. I really like this one. And what else do they have? The noise was nice also. It's just really like I think they want this as an alternative to drum rack. So like now, if you look at all the new drum racks, they all have drum sampler instead of simpler what they had before, and it's really much nicer to work with like one shots in drum rack with this drum sampler. But simpler is just as good. But just these like added effects are just much nicer to work with, I think. Anyways, we were in it simply. And what I want to focus on, like maybe we can just go over like the basic stuff of what simpler does. So if I take like just, I don't know, like a random sample, let's just tone, anything, anything tonal. I don't know, I'm being very picky right now. I mean, this is like, this would be the most basic that if you put this anywhere, you can just play it as an instrument. You have, so this is like your classic mode where we just loop. And this could be very interesting for like polymetric stuff because as long as you're not warping the sound, then it will stretch and squeeze based on the pitch. So see, the higher the pitch, the faster it goes, and then the lower the pitch, the slower it's gonna go. So if you play like a major chord, you'll get something like what is it? 4, 5, 6 polymetric. And if we make the sample much shorter, then you hear this faster. And then you can also have them out of sync based on when you play the notes. And it's fun thing. And of course, if you turn warp on, then you're gonna all play at the same time because warp changes the pitch time relation to be still the same. So yeah, one shot just plays it as one shot, and you can decide if it's a trigger or gate, which could be very helpful. So if it's gate, I need to keep pressing the key so that it keeps playing. And of course, slice is also very fun to play with if you have like longer samples, for example, like so if you have any like audio sample, of course, actually you don't need to drop a simpler. You can just if you're on any MIDI track, you can just drag a sample to it and then it spits it into a simpler immediately. And if you choose the slice mode, usually choose by transients, you can choose by beats or manual, and you can place them wherever you want. And it just slices the thing and it lets you play like slices out of the sample. It's like your typical sampling, pop sampling technique that you would use. It's actually very fun to play with. Um, yeah, you have your basic attack, fade in, fade out, basically, which is just your attack. and fade out. Where are we? Aren't we here? Ah, it's not slice. I usually like to play with the use one shot just because I can transpose really quickly. But this transpose is like you would think at first, it's just if you use the one shot mode, but it's still there, but it's just in the control stop. And then you can change your pitch here, you can change your envelopes. This is what pitch envelope, and then you just have filter, LFO. It's just like very basic, your basic stuff. Of course, it's very fun to play with the warp also. Like if you take, let's say, beats, and then we set it to, let's set it to transient, and then only one side, lower side. And then if we stretch it a lot, we should get, maybe let's try like, you can get also interesting sounds. Like I really like this click actually. Anyway, you can also, if you right click here, you can also reverse this out, which could be interesting for some effects. You can also crop it, so it's just this part. This we will use like if we're using very longer. You can also, this is also new, which
Where was the reverse?
you just right click anywhere in this tab and then it tells you reverse. And there is also this next similar. I think this is, I've never tried this yet, but I think what it does is just like it uses the marking system in Ableton that like has all the similar sounds, and then it just uses a sound that is similar to it. I'll do it by command arrow. Oh, that's interesting.
Slice mode and you're playing the video section of the sample.
Yeah.
Are you just playing on the keyboard there?
Yeah. It just basically takes from C1, and then C1 is the first note, and then it just plays them in order. And then there's something you can do very helpful is that you can say slice to drum rack. What it would do, it would just take all the slices and put each of them in a different simpler and have them in a drum rack so you can play them in a drum rack. Or also what you can do is slice to new MIDI track, which will add a new MIDI track that has also what do you call it? A drum rack, and it will also put all the MIDI notes that they're playing here, which sounds very interesting now because all of them have like attack that is very fast. So you're basically chopping the sample, but each chop will have an attack on its own. So it's you get this glitchy stuff, which is nice actually. Yeah, but so this is the basics of how you would use it to like play with the sound that you already have. But I find an interesting way to actually work with this is that you can just set the lens to be extremely small, and then you change the start position to be somewhere in the. So now I'll turn off warp. So now it's only playing this part, and of course I want to have loop on, and then I want my lens to be extremely small to like just take a grain chop. And then this way I can find, where's my start? So you can find a lot of interesting harmonic places like this. So for example, if I take like this place, let's take a bit of a louder place. You see, it sounds very extreme. And this is probably because we have snap on. What snap does is that it waits for the beginning and the end of the sample to be both on zero. I don't know really based on which criteria it snaps the sample, but it doesn't let you change the size of the sample very fluidly. So if I turn snap on, you can already see how smaller I'm getting in the, and I can actually just get an extremely small chop of sound. Maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger. This is way too big. Of course, now you have like different pitch relationships with the wave, because the longer your wavelength is, the lower it's gonna be in pitch. So just changing the like all these stuff start having different meanings on your sound. And if I go like this, maybe. If I go. And now the fade starts having more like a filter effect, because it's taking the transient of the sound. And then you can also, this I usually really like to like just switch between the sample. It's just a very nice. Yesterday I made one out of like a ARP loop. I think I called it rain or something. You sleep there, rain. And I really liked how it sounds. So the sample was this thing. Just an ARP. And then I also took like an extremely small chop that I cannot find even here. How do I find this? What's this? So it sounds like, actually sounds like a really good keyboard. I would use this. Yeah, so this is really interesting. And then you can also like, you can also add LFOs maybe, and have the LFO change the fade, for example, to have more like a filter effect. And I'll have maybe my envelope really change the rate of it. It's fun. It's too much here. Yeah, but it's really fun to see that you can create actually very interesting sounds out of very small, like this sound could have something completely different as a sound character, but just because you took an extremely small portion of it, you can have very interesting results. Of course, something you need to keep in mind is that since you are changing the pitch of the sample by changing its size, then you will probably, now I'm playing a C, but my tuner isn't even registering anything going. So it's almost registering in A while I'm playing a C. So you probably need to go here and like change this to become a C. Actually, as an organ sound, I would like low-key use this somewhere. I can make this a little bit more beautiful. Yeah, anyway, so this is like a simple way to actually get nice sounds out of maybe not so nice sounds. And a cool thing you can also do after you made this is that you can switch this to a sampler, sorry. And then you can make some nice effects like, oh, look, now I found the sample. So this is what we're working with. We're just repeating very fast. Because these won't have effects now because the things they're mapped to are not there anymore. Let's just make this a little bit more sparkly. And now it's very helpful that we tune this, because in sampler we can use FM. But before that, there is the interesting thing that in sampler you can change the loop start, and you can have a very smooth pitch modulation. So this is really nice. You can also reverse the sample much easier, and it actually changes the timbre, which is also very nice to play with the scale. This is just to change the tuning. What else can you do here? Oh yeah, especially when you're working with really low samples and you're detuning the sound, which we're doing. It usually uses the best interpolation to like actually tune the sounds while making it still at the same length. But if you use no interpolation, then you get this like very high pitch aliasing effect. Like here, this very. If I had best interpolation on, it will be cleaner, but this like feels more analog. Which is a nice effect. I actually like to keep this down. Yeah, and so another interesting thing you can use, and that's why we tuned our sound, is that you can now use both the pitch envelope. We actually did have that in the simpler, but you can use phase modulation or frequency modulation, whatever you want to call it, and amplitude modulation also. So these two things are. Are we actually in tune? We don't seem in tune at all. don't think we're in tune. Let's try to tune this again. Okay. So I don't know why my tuner is tripping. Send this to this. You are very, very close to C actually. Just turn on this off. No reverb. Okay, I don't know, let's see. Okay, so now it's tuned. Just need to make sure because I think the way M works here or AM or whatever is that it tracks what note you're playing on your keyboard. So let's say I'm playing A and then it knows this is 440 hertz. And then if you have this to not be fixed, which means it follows your note, then if you have this at 1, which is like exactly the note you're playing, then you're playing A 440, then it's gonna frequency modulate that by 440. And then you can have it modulate by half of that, which is like 220. Because the higher your harmonics, I actually really like this. Of course, you can use this also as a fade. Very close here to be. The same work here. Same works with frequency modulation, and you can also always change the. If you take something very gritty. You can maybe make really good bass sounds out of it. Or if you want to make bass sounds like more gritty bass sounds, you'd probably use. Maybe use something a bit harmonic. Just layer this with something like this. Distortion. This is interesting. So it's basically using noise signal as a modulator, and it sounds nicer in like in amplitude modulation. So maybe if we go like really high on these but really low here. Let's try like. I don't think it's gonna change that much. Because just noise. Oh, let's see what happens if we do it with FM. So this should be 100 volts, right? And so you can see what's happening here. That if I turn this very low, you see we're doing 0.01 of 10 hertz, and it's an amplitude modulation. So the volume is just going up and down. If we go higher, it's gonna start to oscillate because now it's fluttering so fast. If you go even higher, you're starting to get pitch just because it's like fluttering extremely quickly that you start hearing it as pitch. This is how you make dubstep. Or siren sound. This actually, if we like just go with this reverb. Of course, this is the interesting thing also about fixed, because you can imagine you have your waveform, and then if your modulation is fixed, then it's always going to be the same waveform also. So you're going to have your waveform react differently with each other, modulate each other differently. But if you remove the fixed, it will then just, you will have kind of the same timbre for each note. But if you have your fixed on, so see, this one has more sub bass, this one doesn't. Of course, let's say I really like this one, then what I can do is I can just record. Which one was it? This one. Then I just duplicate this and then freeze and flatten it. Then what you can do, of course, okay, this is the chop that I like. Then I can take it just into a different, simpler, and play it as an instrument thing. Then I will keep my timbre for all the notes. Yeah, it's like, I mean, with FM it just gets also endless, but it does have a sound. Like if you want the FM sound, you just go for the FM sound. But you can also do it like in more subtle ways and more slower stuff that you can just make it oscillate. You can also have it be really cute, not so ugly. It's just ugly. AM is usually more smooth to work with. It's interesting, especially if you're using like wave. Of course, if you didn't notice, the type of your frequency modulation makes like huge difference of what is happening. Similar, but actually, what I still didn't try was doing it with a non-harmonic sample, which is like maybe, let's say, like a snare, like maybe something also huge. Something more noisy. Yeah, let's do this thing here. It's just a snare. This would be the original pitch. Then you just go on to loop it, and then you just want to, with the start and with the loop length, you just set where, sorry, here, just set how long it's going to be. Over here it's very noisy, and of course I turn it now off. Then it's very small. So annoying. Then the smaller it is, the higher the pitch you will have. And maybe, and then I would usually put it on a pretty small length, maybe like this thing. And then with the start, I will find a place that I like. Just like this thing. This can be maybe good for like aggressive bass sound. You know, I do want to have this is oscillating nicely. This is what I like it. And then, of course, you will need to like over process this to become halfway decent. I don't know, maybe some EQ. Oh, you can go really low. I just turned the time down. That is effect should make it. Maybe like distort this shit out. Actually, I think I haven't tried the new saturator yet, but like some wave shaping could be also really interesting on this point. And usually, like, if I take something like this that I like, I will just layer it with a real like 808 if I'm making like bass head music with this. I was just trying to.
What's the right one?
OTT. It's like a multi-band compressor. So you can see these are like your compression values, and they compress the sound based on the frequency level. So like the high sound gets compressed in this way. This sound gets compressed in this way. It's just very pretty out of the box. I just like the sound. Anyways, what you can also do is have an LFO. Okay. That changes your start. Very quick. Yeah, now it's working. So you need to have your length at like pretty low, preferably 0. And then now let's try to do this. That's pretty interesting. Is this changing here as well? So now we will have basically changes in the volume based on where this is starting. And of course in the timbre, because it's just swiping throughout the sample. And this can be like a very dynamic patch. Let me put my rhythm. You can see like my modulation rate is extremely slow. Like maybe I can actually have it higher just so we see it. It's gonna be too fast. One It's also really nice. And also, I don't know, you asked about the comping, because I feel this you can use very well in like, if you're inside the song already or inside an idea. Comping is like, let's say I'm here in this track, and just let me turn this on. So what I would do is that, let's say I know that here I want like my C major. I would like, this is now MIDI, and we're changing in the MIDI. So what I would do is just, but you can do this like any way that you want. I would just like set another track that just takes the audio from this one. So I will have this resampling, turn it on.
When you said an audio to resetting, does it record everything?
It records from the master usually,
Okay.
but you can have it just from. But now I know that audio is just coming from this one, so I don't care. But I would maybe set like a loop like this. Let's see how long is this? Maybe a bit longer. And you see now I have audio coming in here. So now I would just record. And then in here I would start maybe changing some stuff. And you can see now it's going in a loop. So now I'm just changing random stuff. And then if you here press Command Option U, you would see all the takes that you had. And the cool thing you can do with this is that you can just like fade them in and out. And like if you press B on your keyboard, you enable this like pen mode, which then lets you like take snippets out of each one of them, which can be really cool to make like some switchy, glitchy stuff. Let me try to like. And this is usually based on your grid. So now if I press like Command 2, then my grid is bigger, then it's gonna select bigger, it's not actually. No, it's gonna select bigger chops. Or Command 1 to make it smaller. Also, if you press Command while moving it, you can just move arbitrarily, like ignoring the grid.
And I just drag it into
This one, you mean? Yeah, you can just like, if you make this a little bit bigger, this is like just an audio file that you can just put here.
yeah, if I want to do the louder, then loop, I can also just drag the end or the beginning.
Yeah. So basically, this is like, this goes
Yeah.
for all of this lengths.
Yeah.
It just basically chops them into different ones, but it's still actually one audio file.
And if I would now record again in this audio track,
It would record under it. So if I record now, you can see it continues in a new lane. It like now you look that you see that it's nothing, but it's just the new lane that is empty. But you can always like pick one and press enter, and it will be that one
oh,
always.